Hello and welcome. You have already seen our ratings of the batters in our 12 noon show.
Yes, they did.
And here we are back and to rate our bowlers. This will be a little more critical because you have actually conceded 669. You have not been able to defend 370. And like you have seen with us all series, while we will be constructively critical, we will call spade a spade. We will not hold back. And that's something that we want to put it out in front of you, that the fact that we won the Oval doesn't necessarily mean that we will mask the cracks. We will not. We will call out what needs to be called out. You might have issues with that, but that's how we have toned our coverage. We have remained steadfast. We have remained true to our conviction, and that is what we will do in this video. Let's start. Who do we start with? DSP, or we will do DSP last?
DSP तो doesn't fit on the scale anymore.
उसको आप बाहर निकाल दिया.
आप वो उसके लिए scale कितना बड़ा scale बनाओगे यार? Come on, if it's a 10, ठीक है तो 100. Come on, most wickets, most overs.
But DSP 10 on 10?
100 दे रही हूँ मैं.
So ये तो पागल.
मतलब मैच खत्म हो गया, वो फिर भी दौड़ के आ रहा है. ड्रेसिंग रूम की तरफ दौड़ के गया है वो.
वो तो बोला कि क्या बोला था तू?
प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में उसका प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हो गया. Everyone was getting signs and pictures and everything. मोहम्मद सिराज को मजाक में रोहित शर्मा बोल तो रोहित जुगलान ने पूछ लिया. रोहित जुगलान ने पूछा और ओवर डालोगे? डाल दूंगा अभी भी.
फिर क्या बोला? वो बोला
तक डालूंगा. That's Mohammad Siraj for you. But some
I'll give him
dedication.
I'll give him 9.5. Again, I'll give him 9.5, and I'll tell you why. Ultimately, Mohammad Siraj, you have to understand this, that Leeds, Mohammad Siraj could have pulled in his weight. 370 wasn't defended. And you have to understand that it was the first test match of the series, so it wasn't about workload. You were fresh. You had a 470 run first innings. You had a 370 odd in the second innings. Mohammad Siraj was fresh. Had Mohammad Siraj pulled in his weight in the first spell, India could have possibly won Leeds. So I will, when I'm being realistic and critical and constructively critical, Siraj is somebody I love, and the whole world knows that. I will give him 9.5, and he too will agree. He too will agree that he had to put his hand up a little bit more in Leeds. He redeemed himself in Birmingham. Absolutely magical in Birmingham. Lords, I think he was fine. I think he was fine at Lords as well. Manchester, I again think it was a bit of a letdown. When you allow a team to score 700 runs against you, clearly your bowling unit has not pulled in its weight. So because of all of this, I will rate Mohammad Siraj 9 out of 10. But I was tempted to make it 10 on 10 because for me, elite high performance sport is about handling pressure. And the pressure that Mohammad Siraj took at the Oval was something inhuman. So that kind of gives me that extra point or extra half a point for Mohammad Siraj. So 9.5, the realist, the emotional me will give him 10 on 10. I hardly give anybody 10 on 10. But Mohammad Siraj, for the heart that he has shown, the courage that he has shown, and of course the jersey that he has given me, gets a 10 on 10.
No, and I know I said 100, but if we talk more practically as well, I would give him 10 out of 10. And I understand that Leeds was an absolute letdown from Mohammad Siraj. You don't expect that from a Mohammad Siraj after Jasprit Bumrah. He's the senior most. He is the leader of that pace attack. You expect him to do better than what he did back at Leeds. But at the same time, in the matches after that, I think he completely redeemed himself with what he did.
Except Manchester. Manchester 669 was conceded.
I know.
So that's why I said 9.5. But I tend to agree with you that Oval, because he redeemed an Oval, he got India back and pulled his weight and kept bowling and bowling and bowling.
Also, I think my rating has more to do with the kind of leadership also that we saw on the field and the way that he took the rest of the bowlers with him. Akash, Prasidh, Krishna, he was always there to support him. In that final day, in that final hour where we all had multiple heart attacks in the span of 57 minutes, Mohammad Siraj would always be there at mid-on. He would talk to Prasidh Krishna after every single delivery. He would talk to Akash Deep in the preceding days, in the preceding matches as well. Would talk to Akash Deep whenever they needed help. So I think you also saw a different side of Mohammad Siraj this time around, and it was a leader, Mohammad Siraj, that we saw. So for that, I give him a 10.
I I've got nothing to say to that. That she's very fair in saying what she said. That's why I said the heart says 10, the realist says 9.5. But I totally endorse the points that she's made.
Yeah.
Coming to Jasprit Bumrah, I would give him 6.5. I had expected way more. I do know that he had gotten a fifer in Leeds, but again, in the second innings, 191 run opening stand. When you have a Jasprit Bumrah in your side and you're defending 370, it's the first test match of the series. It's not about workload. It is about Jasprit Bumrah winning you that game when you have that many runs to defend. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I know that Jasprit Bumrah is not magic, but he is the world's premier fast bowler. So Jasprit Bumrah and Leeds for me did not really hold up. He did not play Birmingham. He came back at Lords, and again he bowled very well in patches in Lords.
Yes, exactly.
First day, second half bowled well. Harry Brook. Second day morning, absolute masterclass. Joe Root, Ben Stokes, and Chris Wokes. Again a fifer at Lords, puts his name on the honours board. But thereafter in the second innings, again, very good. So Lord's Jasprit Bumrah, I have no complaints. I have zero complaints about Jasprit Bumrah at Lords. He was the one, along with the other bowlers. You can't take credit away from a Nitish Reddy. From Manchester was a complete letdown. And that is why I said 6.5 for me for Jasprit Bumrah. Because with a Jasprit Bumrah in my team, if someone comes and tells me that in English conditions, however batting friendly they are, the opponent will score 669 runs, I would say, are you joking? A Jasprit Bumrah allowing England to score 669 runs was a bit of a pain. And that is why I will say this is an underwhelming series for Jasprit Bumrah compared to his BGT performance. So I'll give him 6.5.
7. Similar, and I don't have any other reasons. I thought Manchester was Leeds. I understand Leeds. You dropped a lot of catches, and a lot of things went wrong at that point. It wasn't only the bowling; it was also the fact that the fielding was very dhila. There was a lack of intent somewhere or the other. Time and time again, when things would go wrong, your intent, and this has been a problem throughout the tour. That whenever things go wrong, you immediately drop your shoulders, and it becomes very difficult for India to come back in the game. Yes, they have done that time and time again. They have shown you grit and fight back, but again, the field has been a problem. But if you ask me, because of Manchester and Manchester alone, and a bit of Lords, where he looked, like you said, brilliant in patches, Mohammad Siraj gets a 7. Otherwise,
Jasprit Bumrah
gets a 7. Otherwise, there was no point. If you were to ask me, Jasprit Bumrah should get a 9, 9.5 every single tour.
Yeah, I mean, this tour has been underwhelming for Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, I am sure Jasprit Bumrah, he himself will agree that compared to the Border Gavaskar Trophy, this was not the same Jasprit Bumrah.
Yes.
So, and we have to be realistic. We don't go by names. We will go by performance. We will go by impact. We will go by everything associated with the sport. And that's why, I mean, for me, it's 6.5. She's given 7. I'm okay with that. But for me, it was an underwhelming tour for Jasprit Bumrah. Prasidh Krishna, 6.5 again.
6. I would say 6, because if this was his first series, then I would have given him a 6.5. But the fact that you saw the same sort of problems or the same sort of issues come up or crop up for Prasidh Krishna as Australia, similar things. It's always that he bowls 3 good deliveries, and the rest 3 will be absolutely here or there. It will be a shorter one. It will go down leg. It will be you will give too much room to the batter for the batter to hit. That's been a problem for a long while now. At the end of the tour, he started doing well. And of course, here we saw some incredible bowling from Prasidh Krishna in the final 2 days, the final hour, and the day before that. But then again, Prasidh Krishna, what he did back in Leeds was similar to what he did in Australia. We did not want to see that from Prasidh Krishna. Again, it's the fact that over a period of 7 to 8 months, you've not seen anything change in Prasidh Krishna. Is the problem. Edgbaston, he did good. Oval, he did good. But again, it's still 6.5.
Yeah, I said 6.5, you said 6.
Oh, sorry, 6.
I'll actually go with 6.5 for similar reasons. And I'll explain to you why I gave him that half mark more. Because Prasidh Krishna is not one who stands up to pressure. Or we haven't seen him do that. We saw him do that at the Oval. We saw him do that. Prasidh Krishna was the one who got you back into the game at the Oval. You must give it to him. It was Prasidh Krishna of that Jacob Bethel wicket. It was Prasidh Krishna who picked up Joe Root. England was going all guns. Run chase was in a canter. 317 for 4 at tea. Nobody had given India a chance. Prasidh Krishna comes back after tea, all of a sudden puts in a lion-hearted effort, gets that Jacob Bethel wicket, middle stump knocked off, gets Joe Root out with an outswinger. Dhruv Jurel takes a good catch, but that's where the game turned. All of a sudden, Mohammad Siraj gets into the act and gets the crowd going and starts talking to Prasidh Krishna. But those two wickets, I thought made every difference.
I agree.
India was down and out. You must agree. And then even on the last day, it was Mohammad Siraj who picked up Jamie Smith. It was Mohammad Siraj who picked up Jamie Overton. Mohammad Siraj needed some support. He did need some support. Prasidh Krishna put his hand up first, except that first over, first 2 balls where he leaked runs. One was a short one. The second ball could have been bowled. It was a Chinese cut which went through, next to Dhruv Jurel, Jamie Overton, edge gone. That could have been a bowl. That could have been a wicket. After that, Prasidh Krishna hardly bowled a loose ball, hardly put a wrong foot forward. And that Josh Tongue wicket, all flat stumps, that gem of a Yorker. Josh Tongue was frustrating India. If you see, 8-9 balls he had blocked to Mohammad Siraj, edge not happening of Siraj's deliveries. You needed Prasidh Krishna to give India that opening and get Chris Wokes out, because India was feeling it. India was right there, and I thought Prasidh Krishna was able to take pressure. And again, after Leeds, the point that Gargi made, Leeds, he was all over the place. But Birmingham, he managed to pull it back. So what I've seen in terms of improvement in Krishna is his ability to take pressure better. And I've also seen that he's come back from a hammering or come back from a bad performance and has put his hand up and shown more discipline. For these 2 reasons, I will give him that half mark more 6.5.
I remember saying to you on day 4 of the test match at the end of the day, and I said, Prasidh Krishna has bowled brilliantly today, but he's been so unlucky. So many of those wickets Prasidh Krishna should have gotten, but I also remember saying this is the redemption of Prasidh Krishna, and it absolutely is.
Yeah, and the Josh Tongue wicket was a massive moment in the game. You've got to give it to him. Siraj finished it off, but Prasidh Krishna did put his hand up. So for me, 6.5, for Gargi 6. I think it's a fair assessment of the impact that Krishna had. To say that he scored as many as Jasprit Bumrah, for him, it'll be a big plus. Now, get the positives from this series and take your career up, because you have the ability. You can bowl wicket taking balls. Can you now do the job at home? Can you become a more consistent member and a more permanent member of this India team? That is what Prasidh Krishna now needs to do. Akashdeep?
I'm so confused about this one. I'm actually confused because he started off so well. Birmingham, 10 wickets. And we all started saying, Akashdeep is an absolute revelation. Where have you been hiding Akashdeep all this while? Because what he did in the absence of Jasprit Bumrah, I think we will remember that. That will still be a moment in his career which will be remembered for a very, very long time, alongside what he did with Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna. But the tapering off following that Birmingham test, I did not understand where it came from. When we talk about him injuring his shoulder, whatever happened, we don't have any clarity on that, do we?
No.
We don't know anything about what's happened to Akashdeep. Even at the Oval, he looked nothing like the Akashdeep that he was back in Birmingham. Even at Lord's, Akashdeep did not look like the Akashdeep that was back at Edgbaston. So why he tapered off like that? Was it because he had played one game, gave it his all, and did not have the longevity to sort of sustain that sort of performance or sustain that sort of intensity? We don't have the answers to that, but ultimately he was not able to sustain the intensity. When you compare that to a Mohammad Siraj who played all 5 test matches on the trot, 187 overs, most wickets, you can't help but think why an Akashdeep could not have done that.
Absolutely spot on. I have very little to add to that. I have very little to add to that, except to say that when you have a high like Birmingham, then you expect it to go better and better. And all of a sudden, the body language of Akashdeep here at the Oval was quite dismal. I mean, you could see the shoulders drop when Duckett attacked him.
Yeah.
I did not like the fact that he would give Duckett that kind of a send-off. That was not needed. I mean, Duckett had taken you apart. And to do that, Akashdeep, the batter, was incredible at the Oval. That 66 was sensational. I actually thought that 66 would rub off on his bowling, and that Akashdeep would be a far better bowler when he came out to bowl, because the batting would have charged him. All of a sudden, what I got of Akashdeep was plain. I mean, it was a letdown, because Akashdeep, who bowls so well against the left-handers, he gets that angle, pitches it up and straightens. I did not see any of that happening with Akashdeep at the Oval. So I tend to agree. Did he nurse an injury? Was he playing with some kind of niggle? Was he playing with an injury? He was continuously doing this to his shoulder, but it wasn't the Akashdeep of Birmingham. So the rating, आपने rating नहीं दिया है.
Oh, rating तो देना ही भूल गए. Out of 10, I would say Prasidh Krishna. Akashdeep is a 5.
Yeah, because he won us a test match, I'd give him a point more. I would say 5.5 to 6, because he won us a test match. And to win us a test match in England, Edgbaston, we have never won. And he was the star with that incredible spell at Edgbaston that I thought was one of the best spells of fast bowling bowled by an Indian bowler in England, in Edgbaston. That is why I'm giving Akashdeep a 6, but with the clear point that I thought Akashdeep at the Oval did not pull his weight. The fielding was lackluster, the fielding was lethargic, and that's what the Akashdeep story is all about. So I do think that the Akashdeep of the Oval and Akashdeep of Lords was nowhere near Akashdeep of Birmingham. Finally, the two spinners, Washington Sundar and Ravi Jadeja.
Washington Sundar, again, for the unexpected factor. You always knew,
because Anshul Kamboj ko hum log bol ke fayda nahi hai, wo chhod dijiye.
And also, you can't be harsh on him at this point. It's not his fault that he was called upon, and whatever happened. It's time for him to recalibrate, and the management.
And I just hope he's not scarred.
That's all. So we will not rate Anshul Kamboj here, but Washington Sundar, 7.
At least
7.
These conditions were not suited for the spinners.
The drift that he was getting, and the fact that he was able to pick those 4 wickets, and he's had a lot of impact with the ball over and over again. Batting we rated in our last video, and he got how much?
9.5.
9.5 from the both of us. So he has emerged as one of the serious all-rounders in the series, and I think he has now cemented his place. For that, I give him a 7.5.
I'll finish with 2 points here, and that's Ravindra Jadeja did not do much bowling, did not have the opportunity except that 1 minute over that he finished, and that makes me give Washington Sundar that extra point, because he got Ben Stokes out in Edgbaston. That's a big one. That's a big one as far as I'm concerned. And Washington Sundar also gets a 7.5 from me. I'm not rating Shardul Thakur, because dekho 6 overs, 11 over and out of 157. I don't think we should rate Shardul Thakur, because it will be a tad unfair if we go ahead and rate Shardul Thakur. But we will say that the overs that Shardul bowled, maybe he would himself agree that he should have created more impact. But he should have bowled more overs. Had the captain had more faith, he would have been given the ball earlier than 40. So that's our rating. I hope you kind of disagree with us and argue with us and debate with us, engage with us. That's all I will say. So as part of our rating, we've given you the batters, we've given you the bowlers. We come back tomorrow with our rating of the captain and the head coach.